Right, well, let's take a look at some of the MPs that did speak and what they said. Rachel Reeves, Business Select Committee chairwoman, launched a withering attack on Jeremy Corbyn's leadership. We've all heard lots of reasons for the election defeat, but the real reason was you. The biggest drag on our vote was you. And the policies you offered were economically illiterate. We need radical change, we need a party and a leader the country can trust. But you don't think Jeremy Corbyn was the problem. Why hasn't he resigned?
Well, Claudia Webb, for example, and Mary Foy made big defences of our manifesto I'm
not talking about the manifesto, I'm talking about Jeremy Corbyn and what Rachel Reeves has just said.
But you're quoting what one colleague said.
All right, I'll quote another. I'll quote another. I'll quote another one. Backbencher Clive Efford, and he actually represents the Tribune Group, makes up the bulk of MPs. He shouted at Corbyn that it was clear he was personally toxic to Labour voters. When the boxes were opened in my working class areas on the biggest council estate, they were 50-50 Tory Labour. There's no trust. It's not just you, it's the people around you, and they're trying to fix the succession. If you do, we are just going to do exactly the same thing again. Why haven't the people around Jeremy Corbyn resigned?
Well, Jeremy is standing down.
Yep.
He's going to...
But not until next year, not until March.
He will only be leader for a short time longer.
Should he go now, when you're listening to these sorts of comments, and you heard them obviously last night? We had former Minister Margaret Hodge characterise the meeting as fury, despair, miserable, adding the senior figures around Corbyn were guilty of corporate amnesia in not learning from past hard-left defeats like 1983. I ask you again, why has no one resigned from his team?
It's important to listen to all MPs, but other MPs at the meeting made different points. They're not being quoted on the media. What I would say, however, is that the next general election, unfortunately, is 5 years away. With humility and honesty, we need to look at what went wrong and where it went wrong, where the votes were lost and why they were lost. What we can't do is rush into easy solutions at all, because we've got to make sure we learn the lessons, but learn the right lessons.
Did Jeremy Corbyn make any mistakes?
We all need to take responsibility.
Did Jeremy Corbyn make any mistakes?
I think the mistake that we made was being persuaded as a party that people didn't quite want to get Brexit done as their top priority in the way that many people did. And that's why, I mean, the Labour Party, tragically, we lost 60 seats. Of those 60 seats, 50 of them were in Leave areas, and we need to reflect upon that.
Right. But whose fault is that? Sorry, what was the mistake? I didn't understand what you said.
I think the mistake was that the Labour Party made was underestimating just how much people wanted to get Brexit done, underestimating how high that was up their list of political priorities.
So you blaming people who were advocating Remain in a second referendum?
I'm not into a blame game. I know it's better for the kind of drama.
Someone has to be accountable.
I think we all need to take responsibility. I think everyone in the shadow cabinet...
What responsibility are you taking? You were at the forefront of this campaign. You were representing Labour on the doorstep. You yourself have said in an interview that Jeremy Corbyn was a negative on the doorstep for you when you were door knocking. When you say you underestimated...
I said he was raised, as other leaders have been raised as well in the past when I was campaigning for Tony Blair, Gordon Brown and Ed Miliband. And, of course, the leadership was raised as an issue, but I think it's intrinsically linked to the issue of Brexit. And that's why, when you look at the seats we lost, of the 60 seats we lost, 50 of them were in Leave areas.
What about the Remain areas? Why did you lose the Remain seats? Why did you lose Stroud to the Tories? They voted Remain.
Well, that's why we need an analysis, because if you look at it, about half of our votes went to Remain parties that we lost. The other half went to Leave parties, but the distribution of those votes geographically and in seats under our electoral system is important as well. Right, that's why we need firm analysis of this.
So you lost in all sorts of areas, didn't you?
And in Scotland, we lost votes to the SNP. In northern towns, we lost votes to the Brexit Party and to the Conservative Party. In London, we lost some votes to the Lib Dems, which meant
so it wasn't
the
just
Tories
about
picked
Brexit.
us.
It wasn't, was it?
But lots of these things are about Brexit and about trust, and the two things...
Well, we'll come to the Brexit policy in a moment, because you obviously agreed and signed up to the Brexit policy.
I mean, I just think it's crazy to sit there and still hold the line.